Hey everybody, doing a mic check. Let me know if you can hear me okay. Chat. Hit me if you can hear me. All right, cool. I'll be back in just a minute. All right. Hello everybody. Hope you're well. This is kind of an odd time for me to be streaming, but I will go into why that is the case. Let me adjust one thing here. I'm going to pull down my, oops, it's not what I wanted to do. I want to pull down my chat window a little bit. Hope everybody is doing well. See a lot of great people in chat. Thanks for hanging out for a bit during this the middle of the day Tuesday. See, we got Pops over there. Hope you're well, Pops. Uh, so real quick, I'm going to go ahead and jump right into it. This is going to be a little bit of a live Shipyard episode. There's the logo there. So we're going to be so someone Azra says, "Oh, did the stream topic change from the Pioneer to Sitcon Day 2?" So it may have. Let me check actually. Yeah, that's wrong. Let me switch that up right now. Talks the Pioneer. All right, there we go. I'm changing it now. Thank you for that. Again, I have a little weird thing with Restream and the way it taps in and changes the titles of the streams. I got to figure that out. But anyways, why am I streaming during the middle of the day like this? Sorry, just doing some more adjustments here. Because I'm trying to nail down a new streaming schedule. I think I've got something worked out with both work and the wife and all that kind of good stuff. So get into a regular kind of cadence a few times and see if we can't get back to talking about all things Star Citizen. I got a weird fuzz right there. Okay, it's gone. Um, so today, I thought it would be really cool to talk about the Pioneer. So this is going to be kind of a live Shipyard episode. If you've been to the YouTube channel, you've probably seen the Starjump Shipyard episodes. I'm a little bit split on the Shipyard episodes. They did do really well, and then the viewership just dwindled. It's possible that was because of the ships that were being highlighted, but I think ultimately it comes down just to finding an easier way to do them. So I'm going to try this live format. That doesn't mean I won't do any pre-recorded Shipyard episodes anymore. I still want to do that. But for now, I think these live episodes could be kind of cool. So we're going to jump into the Pioneer here in just a second. I'm going to take you through where it was, where it is, and let's see. I believe there are 35 years waiting in the Pioneer stream. Is the Pioneer not running? Oh, that's weird. That is so bizarre. Yep. Stand by. Let me fix that. Let me fix that. Stand by, everyone. It's Restream. Restream is kind of messing up. I gotta fix this. Yep. Stand by, everyone. Stand by. Thank you for that heads up, by the way. Thank you for that heads up. I'm going to redirect everyone over. I'm going to redirect everyone over right now. I got to get that figured out. It is a problem. Restream just kind of doesn't want to update my titles. So that's okay, though. We can solve that. We can solve that right now. Okay, cool. Got that done. Let me pin that message, and then we'll get back to this stream. Okay, bear with me. Bear with me. Okay, let me kill that. Good old Restream. I like Restream a lot. It has some issues for sure. It has some issues for sure. Okay, so here's what I did. I killed the Pioneer stream, which it should have tapped into, and I updated the title for this stream and the Twitch stream. So bear with me as that gets updated, and we'll let people file in here. It may take a minute. Let's see here. Bear with me. Okay. That being said, I am still figuring out some other stuff too, like IAE coverage. Obviously, we're going to cover IAE this year in a big way. I think we're going to have one of our biggest years ever for flight ready ships. I think that'll be a big thing. By the way, those of you coming in from YouTube right now, yep, sorry, Restream kind of messed up the video title assignment. It didn't tap into my previously scheduled Pioneer stream. So I apologize about that. I think I've figured out the issue with Restream, so I'll be able to counteract that in the future. Thank you for the follow, Salamander. Appreciate it. Thank you very much. Yeah, Stundar, the title did change. It just changed as I was speaking. So it finally got updated again. I don't totally know why Restream is doing that, but we're solved. We're moving here. Okay. And again, that's the point of these live streams is that I want to be able to be a little bit more flexible and agile and be able to get this stuff out a little easier to you. So that being said, going back to IAE, there's going to be a lot of flight ready ships this year, I believe, if my thinking is correct. There's a couple caveats to that, and we're going to go into that a little bit at the end of this stream when I go over the ships I think are be going flight ready for IAE. But I think it's going to be a big one, so I think there's going to be a lot of ship coverage to do, specifically in regards to the Intrepid, the Guardian, the Starlancer, etc. And then, yeah, I see some questions in chat. We'll definitely get to all those. Obviously, I have my opinions, but let's see here. I'm going to see if our crowd has filed back in from the other YouTube stream. It looks like they have. Everyone coming over from the other Pioneer YouTube scheduled stream, thank you for dropping over here. I'm not sure exactly what happened there with Restream, but we are good. Okay. So let's go ahead and get going. I'm going to open up some stuff here, and then we're going to jump into the Pioneer. That's going to kind of be our first big thing we're talking about. Okay, switching over. Okay. So we're talking about the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. This ship has had quite a journey over the years. We're going to go a little bit over the original concept. I'm not going to spend a ton of time on that, but I do think there's some things that are important to know about the Pioneer in terms of where it came from, and then now, of course, where it's going. I do see a question in chat. Do you think you'll be able to upgrade to a Pioneer? That's a great question. I think this IAE is going to maybe reveal some stuff in terms of where CIG, hopes to go with the Pioneer. Are they hoping to open it up to more people now that's going in after production? We'll have to see. I have my doubts, though. I don't think they will. Okay, so it is currently a limited hull ship. I believe it's currently like $800. Chat, correct me if I'm wrong, but like 750 war bond or 800 credit, maybe 850 credit. I forget. It is an expensive ship. I fully expect for it to go up in price. I think that's a guarantee for it to go up in price. It is pretty big. We're going to go over its specs. Okay, so chat's saying $850 for credit. Okay. So 850. Yep. Okay. 850. So, and again, it's a limited hull ship, so it's only sold on consolidated Outland Day. You do have to kind of battle the F5 gods to try to get one. I don't know how many they sell every year. I would love to know that. I don't know if anyone else has any inside information on that, like how many hull limited ships are sold. I also don't know if the Pioneer as a whole limited ship is sold in bigger quantities or lesser quantities than other hull limited ships like the Kraken or the Idris or the Javelin, etc. So Potrot says Wiki speculates 2,000 of them have been sold. Okay, so the original concept for the Pioneer was it originally came out in 2017. So I believe they revealed it at CitizenCon 2017, and they sort of revealed it alongside the at that time the plans for land and not so much base building, but some base building information was obviously divulged because they were talking about the Pioneer. But they talked a lot about land, and we'll look at some of that. So let's go ahead and move. This is actually the new concept image right here, by the way. This is the new concept image. And where's my camera? Do you ever come back? Have you ever come back to your machine? It seems like everything on your computer has changed and nothing is, you've done nothing differently in the last few days. Okay, so let's go to our next image. Let's go over like what the current, actually, you know what? No, we're going to back up. We're going to back up real quick. Sal and the Mayor just resubscribed for 1 month. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. We're actually going to go back a little bit further here. We're going to go to the original concept of the Pioneer. Okay, let's start there, I think. Okay, these are images from the original concept. It was obviously still retained a lot of what the current reconcepted Pioneer is all about, right? So it's got the asymmetrical design. At that point, they were really big on the ship unfolding and sort of turning into essentially a factory, or like this like big kind of sprawling, almost like industrial factory on the surface of a planet. And at the time, I thought that was one of its coolest features. I think Starjump, Starlet, one of our Starjump members, was telling me that it's sad that it looks like the reconcept has lost that. And I agree. It's kind of sucky. I do think though that the ship transforming to this degree would have made it like incredibly complex, and put it in the realm of like Endeavor or Crucible or even ships like the Hull C, where there's some sort of complex tech going on that just makes the ship incredibly difficult, puts a high overhead for actually, in terms of CIG ship team members to just get the damn ship done. I personally am one of those people. Some of you may agree that CIG needs to look at these ships, especially these big capital ships, in terms of how can we complete this in a realistic time frame. For example, if CIG doesn't have a lot of ships that transform, why make one ship that does? It just makes it that much more difficult to get it into everyone's hands, right? So while it may lose some of this transforming nature here that you see in these images, I don't think that's I don't think it's a huge loss if it means it's coming to us quicker, right? Let me go back to my frames here. Sorry. Here's some of the original images. These are a little smaller. Again, CIG was posting these in the subscriber vault back when they weren't doing like really high resolution stuff here. But you can see how much it was planned that the ship would open up and transform, right? It was, and they were looking at some really wild designs. The funny thing here is that you can still see some of this, even in some of these very early concepts, you can see a lot of the DNA still transferred over to the Pioneer. And some of that was just based off, I think, some pre-existing design language stuff that they had already figured out for large consolidated outland ships. We saw in the Squadron 42 I Held the Line video from last year that there was a large consolidated outland ship in that video, some sort of refining or transport barge or something. So I think they've actually had some of that CNOU stuff worked out for quite a bit of time now in terms of just like shape language and stuff. Here's some more images again showing that kind of transforming nature. Again, you're seeing a lot of that cross DNA over to what the Pioneer became. It's still that very large, almost like brutalist slab that then opens up to reveal all the intricacies inside. That was kind of the design vibe in terms of just the look and feel. It was like simple kind of brutalist slab of ship, and then inside a bunch of like really meticulous mechanical stuff. Again, more images here. They even say large flat surfaces allow for graphic treatment and branding. Again, I hope that is still what they do. It looks like it is. Because again, if hey Ruben, hope you're well. If you have this giant base building ship on a planet, it would be cool that you're advertising, right? That it's a consolidated outland operation. So I think the ship having that level of branding and stuff is really cool. Again, once they sort of landed on design here, you can see some of the early concept mesh stuff they're doing here, working out the shape, how it would unfold, all that kind of stuff. Again, additional work here. These are really images going back to 2016, I believe. Hey, Poseidon, hope you're well. You can kind of see here what they were doing. I really love the original look at this. You can definitely see the pronounced arm. This arm was supposed to fold out. CIG addressed that in the most recent sitcom video, of course. But this arm now is more integrated into the shape, and I'll show you that. But originally, this arm was almost a fully separate piece that would unfold. And I think, I can't remember if cargo was held in there or not. I may be wrong. Let's continue to go down some of these old images here again. This is all concept mesh stuff, okay? They showed a lot of this at their 2947, the 2017 CitizenCon reveal of the Pioneer. Again, see more of that. You can see how it opens up and kind of almost turns into it's almost got a higher height to it and almost turns into a factory. Some of the internals, these are the internals of the cells where things do get built. Just taking the skin of the ship off. You can see here they've kind of labeled out some of this stuff. So manufacturing actually happened in this little box. That's sort of where the manufacturing occurred. And this is where things like storage and the robot arms and all that stuff would be SCU, so supplies for the building. And essentially what would happen is let me go to this next image. Here's another image. I have an image of, okay, so here's the actual fabrication unit inside the Pioneer. Essentially what was happening was it would build the modular cube-like buildings that we've seen as outposts on planets, right? It would build those cube buildings, and they have these long kind of legs, and then it would like push the building into the surface of the planet, right? And drive those legs down into the surface of the planet. So that's how it constructed them, right? And then you'd been able to connect them. The one limiting factor, though, with this approach was that this was back when the Pioneer was going to build those, really only build those modular cube type buildings that you, again, those Rayari buildings, I think you see them scattered around certain planets and stuff. The idea was that the Pioneer was just going to build those cube-like structures, drive them into the ground, and connect them like Legos, okay? So the new concept, it really has blown out quite a bit in terms of what it's going to do. Here you can see additional visuals of how those arms would have worked. There was catwalks and stuff. I do think it's kind of sad we're losing some of this where you can like walk amongst these catwalks through the machine as things are getting built. But again, I think it's a minor thing if it still means we're getting the Pioneer, right? Let me go ahead and close this one and let's go back to this. So now let's talk about the new concept, okay? The new goals for the Pioneer are to support the updated base building mechanics. This goes without saying. Obviously, this is just good game design. If your base building mechanics change, which they have and have gotten much more grander, like much more grander, then obviously the ship, the primary one of the primary ships that does this building needs to change and update as well, right? Um, Next, it needs to support the current metrics. So that means a few things. Um, the ship needs to fit, obviously, hangar and landing pad metrics as a whole, but also the internals of the ship all need to fit current metrics. That's a lot of things too. That means things like space for components, um, um, as well as walkways and corridors that can support NPCs. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, I believe the metric for that is two NPCs need to be able to pass each other in a hallway. So I think that's kind of the idea there. In addition to that, you've got a landing pad that can then bring a ship inside. So that landing pad needs to be able to support certain size ships, whether it's extra small, small, what have you. There's also a fabrication hangar in here that needs to be able to support a correlating ship size or vehicle size, right? The particular one in the reconcepted Pioneer is going to be a small fabrication hangar, so that means it's going to be able to craft vehicles like the Nova and the Storm. Probably won't be able to craft anything like the Ballista. I think that's slightly too long for the small hangar category. From ship side, though, you're going to be able to craft anything from like a Nomad down, right? So things like Nomad, Gladius, Arrow, all that kind of stuff. What will you not be able to craft inside that fabrication hangar? You will not be able to craft things like the Cuddy Black, right? It's too big. It's a medium ship. Okay, so let's continue on. It needs to become a true self-sustaining mobile base. What do they mean by that? That means when you bring the Pioneer into a new place that you're going to build, you need to be able to land that Pioneer, and then over the course of several days or however long you're going to be building your base, the Pioneer needs to sustain you for that amount of time, okay? And they've truly considered all that. If you look at the next thing, they've got onboard facilities for medical, crafting, refining, and extraction. They've got habitation areas for the crew. They've got the ability to bring a small snub ship or small or extra small ship like maybe a C8R or something in on the hangar internally so they can do scouting in the area, all that stuff. So pretty much you and your crew could be on this ship and be fully self-sustained while the base is being built, right? With the 1,000 SCU of cargo, we're going to go over that the ship can carry now too. That means you can carry that much more cargo, not only for base building, right? Because you do need to supply the base building with the raw materials, a la from your 1,000 SCU of cargo, but that 1,000 you can have a portion of that 1,000 SCU of cargo, maybe it's 100 SCU or whatever, with supplies for your crew, right? Medical supplies, extra armor, weaponry, foodstuffs, water, all the usual kind of stuff, right? So, let's go to our top-down view. Again, this is the new reconcept. You can see up here where that arm is, that the arm is now integrated. It's no longer separate. So kind of tucks that in. I think that's a good thing. I know maybe a lot of people may be upset that the arm doesn't swing out. I've been saying for years that creates a whole mess of issues that they've got to somehow deal with. Not only for a long time, I was wondering how is the Pioneer going to land anywhere and then have room to spread out all these parts and pieces. As a matter of fact, that for a long time I was thinking the Pioneer needs to be able to hover as it builds, right? And literally just kind of hover over an area because it's going to be too big. So they've solved that issue by the arm not swinging out. Now, Shimpasta brings up Did they also make the new one bigger? Yes, the ship's actually substantially larger now. It was originally concepted at 200 meters long. That is now changed, and I think that was kind of their old metric for large capitals because that's the same length that they concepted the Endeavor at. So the new length is 247 meters long. Just to give you a point of reference, the Idris is 242 meters long. So this thing is longer than the Idris. Not as long as the Kraken. The Kraken is 272 meters long, but this thing is also wider than the Kraken, so it has a wider beam. This is a big ship, right? 247 meters long. This thing is no slouch. I mean, this is a monster ship, right? Everyone coming into chat, thanks for hanging out with me today. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel, hit the alert bell, hit those thumbs up on all of our videos if you can. I really appreciate it. Tell your friends about it. We are trying to build the YouTube channel up. We want to get back to doing some of our shows like shipbuilders, fleet builders, all what else? Skunk Works. We have a lot of stuff we'd like to get back to. We need to put that work into the YouTube channel. So please give that YouTube channel some support. I really appreciate it. And if you're on Twitch, please give my channel a follow. I really appreciate it. So let's get back to the Pioneer. So again, this is that top-down view. You can see a few things here in this view that are worth calling out. The internal fabrication hangar, which we're going to go at. Here's the doors for that. So you see these doors can open. Ships that are fabricated can fly out very easily. I love that. Here is our our landing pad. That can bring ships below. So again, you could have a CAR here. You could have I think pretty comfortably up to a small ship. If you look at this pad size compared to this hangar size, it's pretty clear that this is a small landing pad. Okay, small landing pad. To give you some point of reference on that, if you remember the Kraken, it's got 2 mediums on the big pad, and then it's got 4 small pads. Those 4 small pads, they're actually extra small pads. So they're 4 extra small pads. This pad's a little bigger than that. Okay. Right here where it says 1, 2, 3, 4, or actually D1, D2, D3, D4, this is probably an area that opens up and allows the drones to leave and do their thing, the extra large drones. Ape in Space says, question, do we know how much the outpost construction material how much outpost construction materials we will get with the Pioneer? Because if you own the Pioneer, you get an allotment of construction materials and you get an estate land claim beacon. We don't know that, Ape in Space. I think we're going to find out more about that later next year when we start learning more about the specifics of the Pioneer once they're in development on it a bit. So again, one thing is that now that we know a lot more about base building and our plans for that, I really want to do a show with Ender. And again, if you haven't followed Ender's channel, please go to Ender's Twitch channel. It's just twitch.tv/starjump_Ender. But we really want to get back to doing fleet builders episodes. And specifically, I'd love to do a fleet builder episode on base building and building a fleet around such an operation, right? Both small bases and big org level bases, right? Vic12D says, is there any way to get it with LTI? I don't think so. I believe I have the Pioneer with 120 month, so 10 year. I think that's all it comes in. I know ships over $1,000 get LTI automatically, but what I will say is this, Vic, is that it's very possible the Pioneer could go up in price, and if it does eclipse $1,000, it probably will get LTI at that point. Okay, so let's kind of go forward a little bit more. So let's start with our top-down cross-section. Here you can see the bridge as well as moving down here. Back here you get some navigation consoles, right? Moving up to the top and up and down to the bottom here, we got a mix of both escape pods. You can see some here and some here. We have both escape pods. I think there's going to be some components here, some avionics components, and then there is also access to the 2-man turrets that are on top of the bridge tower, which you can see here. There's a man turret here and a man turret here, okay? And there may be controls for this man turret and this man turret or remote turret. Maybe these are remote. These are remote. So you'll probably be able to access those remote turrets as well from that bridge area. So that kind of encompasses the top area here. Bridge, probably a hollow globe kind of oversight area, planning area here. And then navigation and some additional avionics stuff, as well as escape pod access and remote turret and man turret access. Okay. Continuing on. Primary floor. We got a lot of stuff here. We're actually going to start from the back and move forward, okay? So back here is engineering. I'm really excited to see this because the Pioneer is actually supposed to have a really interesting engineering space. They talked about that previously on how Consolidated Outland, especially in regards to the Pioneer, think of it as like the Tesla. It's like it's going to have very, very high tech engineering space. So I'm really interested to see what CIG does with both a high tech engineering space that also is capital level, industrial level type design. So that's going to be really, really interesting to see how that looks. Moving out of engineering, you got a back area here. I'm not sure what this is. They didn't highlight this. Moving up this corridor, you got another area over here. Again, I don't know what this is. I think this could be additional engineering areas, probably with components. Maybe it's radar or batteries or something like that. Moving into this area here, this is going to be habitation, right? So we've got our large habitation area here that includes a rec area, kitchen, to support the large crew, all that good stuff. GearCon, hello, I hope you are well. Down here, we have additional habitation area. This is going to include the individual suites for the crew. Again, the crew gets their own privacy rooms that are pretty cool. They kind of open up in an interesting way. We'll watch a video that shows that. Moving back up to our corridor, primary corridor comes down to this area. Now, this area is pretty interesting. This area is the kind of primary operators control area, like the master control area for this fabrication hangar. This right here is your fabrication hangar, okay? This is where on board, whether you're on the surface of a planet or flying through the air or in space, you're going to be able to build ships, small and extra small ships, and you're going to be able to build vehicles from like Nova size down, okay? That'll all happen on board here in this fabrication hangar. Moving down, this is the lift that brings ships from the landing pad interior to the ship. So again, that will allow you to store a CAR or something like that, right? Going down this way, up here, we have our 1,000 SCU of cargo. I could see this expanding a little bit if necessary, but this is going to be like 1,000 SCU of cargo. This is what you're going to pull for your building. So your building materials are going to be here, as well as any additional storage you need. Down here, we have, it's a little hard to tell, but it looks like four fabrication units, right? Crafting machines. Okay, these are probably the large crafting machines that we saw in the base building presentation. There are four of these. Why do you need crafting machines when you get a fabrication hangar? Because the fabrication hangar only builds ships and vehicles. The crafting machines are what you use for everything else. So you want to build a component, you want to build a weapon, you want to build some furniture, etc. That's going to be built here. So that's really nice. As the Pioneer is using its drones to build buildings, you can be in parallel building stuff for the buildings, like in the internals. Continuing down the corridor here, we come down and we have a control center down here, as well as our four extra large drones. Obviously, the extra large drones are going to be able to build anything in sort of the base building model set, including obviously the very special thing that is the supply bay, okay? And we'll show that here in a short bit, but it can build the supply bay, which is a very special in orbit or in space structure The supply bay is has a control console with storage and drones, and the supply bay is what you build the space stations with, the in-game kind of space stations. So the only way currently to build the space stations is a Pioneer, because you need to go Pioneer, supply bay, space station, right? Um, okay, we have some extra space down here and down in here. I don't totally know what these could be. Personally, I think they could use this as a medical center on the ship. We do know it's going to have medical. So there still needs, I think there's still some areas here that haven't been totally defined. We could very easily get additional rooms, like in this area. There's definitely more room on the ship, but we could definitely get more room over here for additional rooms. Now, I have had someone ask why some of this area up here wasn't built. Again, CIG could have other plans for that. It's also it's important to remember that this fabrication hangar has a ramp that leads forward. You can't see it in any of this, but this ramp leads out of the fabrication hangar and goes outside underneath the ship for you to drive vehicles off. The vehicles then drive out the front of the ship, but underneath the ship, if that makes sense. Okay. Let's go to its new stats. Okay. The Pioneer holds 4 extra large construction zones. That's pretty massive. Okay. The ship is now 247 meters long by 133 meters wide by 53 meters tall. Okay. If you need a point of reference, this ship is almost as tall as a constellation standing on its back end straight up. Okay. To give you an idea of height. So this is a very tall, very big, very wide ship. For those of you wondering if this will fit into an extra large hangar, for those of you that have extra large hangars, I can confirm to you that this ship does fit in there. Okay, the Kraken can even fit in a extra large hangar. The last time I remember measuring, the extra large hangars are 276 meters long, which is just long enough for a Kraken to fit at 272 meters. However, I'm pretty sure CIG lengthened the extra large hangars recently when they did those hangar size adjustments. Remember when they did that and they made the large hangars like 25% bigger and stuff? I think they actually made it even a little bit bigger over that. So it's probably like 280 meters or something like that. So yes, if you have an extra large hangar, you're going to be able to land an Idris, a Pioneer, a Kraken. You're going to be able to land those in those hangars. Okay. So the ship 247 meters by 133 meters by 53 meters. Also, if you go on Starjump Fleet Viewer, because I just saw Starlet pop on. Hello, Starlet. If you do go to Starjump Fleet Viewer, we have scaled the Pioneer up to 247 meters long now, just so everyone is clear. It's still using the old model, but it is 247 meters long now. Okay. Let's keep going here. It's going to be able to craft small ships and vehicles. Remember, I called that out. So the small size, that's going to be everything like Nomad down and Nova down. It has internal ground extractors. So you can see that here. It's giant landing gears, which this is part of the new concept. The original Pioneer did not have this extra vertical thruster right here. And its landing gears were actually, I believe, integrated into these VTOL thrusters. They've done away with that, which I think is a great idea. And the actual monster landing gears now are going to have onboard like integrated ground extractors. Again, when you think about CIG ship team, and I know some people may have complaints about some decisions the CIG ship team makes from time to time, this is one of those places, and this reconcepting is one of those places where we need to like give them their credit, because they really thought of everything. The fact that they did the integrated ground extractors is such a huge quality life thing for this ship that, to me, it takes it from being a good reconcepting to a ingenious reconcepting, right? It really elevates it if you're a Pioneer fan. Okay. It got all capital. Oh, and here's the thing. I think someone mentioned it. Who mentioned it? Someone mentioned it. Sorry if I missed your name. But because of the extractors, they did say, I believe they said it's got onboard refining capability, or if not directly refine, the ability to refine, I think the crafting the fabrication hangar is able to refine things that have been extracted as it's crafting. So it may be some sort of integrated refiner. Um, it has all capital components across the board. The previous Pioneer concept did have sort of a kind of mix of capital and like sub-capital components. That was back when they were mixing things up a lot. They're not doing that anymore. All capital components. Again, with a ship this big, it's going to have to be all capital components. Again, this thing is bigger than an Idris. And then it's been up now to 1,000 SCU of cargo capacity, which I think is fabulous with how big we can build bases now. You're going to want all that SCU. So I think that's a great decision on CIG's part. I forget what the original was. Someone in chat can maybe correct me, but wasn't it like 600 or 700 SCU? Or am I overestimating it? Ezra says, question, does hull limited also mean that we wouldn't be able to craft a Pioneer? So that's a great question, Ezra. I'm going to get to that because I think that's a really important thing. Really important thing. Well, actually, let's go into that now. What's my next slide here? Okay, so let's go to let's talk about that for a minute. Will this thing be able to craft, something like, actually, did I pull a frame of that? Let me go to that real quick here because I did save a frame of that. Okay, I'm going to bring up this frame here. So one of the things they talked about with base building was you're going to be able to build fabrication hangars. Now, if you look really closely, this fabrication hangar is a medium-sized fabrication hangar, but you can bet that they're going to have large fabrication hangars and probably extra large fabrication hangars. So here's what I'm thinking about that, Azra, at this current time. I think the Pioneer, with its extra large drones, will be able to craft extra large hangars, fabrication hangars, and I think those extra large fabrication hangars will be able to craft a Pioneer. So you're still going to need someone with a Pioneer to craft the extra large fabrication hangar, but once you've got that crafted, you could technically craft Pioneers and sell them on the market, right? So I do think that's going to be a path. I'm speculating on that. Okay, I do not know. Here's something I do know though. I do know that we're going to be able to craft capital ships. Okay. I also was told that you remember at the end of the presentation when it showed the Bengal being crafted, the big size 5 Bengal being crafted at the space station. I was told that there were going to be other Bengal sized ships we could craft. Okay, so take that for what you will. Okay, but regardless, I absolutely think we'll be able to craft the Pioneer for sure. I just think it's going to take a Pioneer to be able to craft the item to craft the Pioneer, right? So, yeah, let's go back to our main slide here though. So, another thing John Crew mentioned was that this will not be with the initial release of base building. That this will come after. The funny thing is that the Pioneer is going into development any week now. So that's kind of interesting. So what can we infer from that? Well, if you're an optimist, you could probably infer that that means sometime in 2025, base building tier 0 will come online, whatever that is, right? An initial version of base building. Maybe it's everything large down. Maybe it's medium down. I don't really know. But maybe the initial version of base building is like that. And then once they've kind of settled that and see how that works, then the Pioneer comes out a little bit after and they start testing Pioneer building. Now, I do think the Pioneer going into development at this stage at all, the fact that they're even moving it into production, almost guarantees a couple things. One, it guarantees that base building is definitely a focus for CIG right now. My good buddy Starjump Ender will back me up on this. I actually said a year and a half ago that the end game for Star Citizen will be base building. Specifically, I said that, and manufacturing. It was something I told him because of some information I had that it was going to be the end game. Now, I didn't know everything about Star System 1.0 yet, but I knew that that was going to be the end game. Okay? Or I had it on good authority, I guess I should say. So it makes sense if they're driving towards a 1.0 release that they want to get base building moving along here. Okay, I'm not theory crafting on when base building will come out in totality, but I do think in 2025 we're going to see some level of base building integrated into the PU. Okay, I'm not saying it's going to be good or bad or speculating on any of that. I'm just saying that I think that is their goal. Okay, I think that that also means that the CSV FM, the fabrication module variant of the CSV, the Argo ground vehicle that builds medium vehicles, I think that will go flight ready sometime in 2025. I think the hover trolley, small building trolley thing will go flight ready. I also think the Starlancer build will be coming too. Maybe not in that first release, but maybe soon after, right? And then the Pioneer soon after that. But if they're working on the Pioneer right now, you can better believe that they're working on the Starlancer build, right? They have to be, right? Why would you be working on the capital level, extra large building ship when you if you don't have the large version in development? It kind of doesn't really make any sense. Um, so that being said, um, I do think it's what you're seeing here is again, CIG is publicly stated they only want ships to come with their gameplay, right? So obviously, through whatever ships are going into production, you can kind of get a read on at least internally what CIG hopes is their focus for the foreseeable 18-month window or whatever, right? Now, you said, please note, I said what CIG hopes. Obviously, we've seen many times in the past where something is in development and then it's not in development. I get that. Okay. I'm just saying that at the time of CitizenCon that we just went through, I think in CIG's internal planning, the planning was for 2025, sometime in 2025, to be the push for base building. I actually think it's a big part of the 4.0 theme, a new home, a new frontier. We're getting pyro and server meshing and jumping from system to system. That's obviously a big point of the 4.0 branch. Thank you, 5-star, for the follow. Appreciate it. That's a big point of what it is. But I don't think it's just about going to a new system. I think it's about going to a new system and building your home. Right? So I think specifically that's kind of part of that narrative. John Chase says, question, do you think base building tier 0 will be only on land claims of some sort? I don't know, John. That's really great to hear. We're going to switch over now. That kind of leads to the next thing. We're going to go, I'm not going to play that. I'm going to play this kind of low in the background. And the reason I'm playing this is in this 2017 video, and for those of you that want it, I'm going to grab the link and I'll post it in the chat if you want to watch this later. This is where CIG in 2017 goes through how land claims and base building are going, not necessarily base building, but land claims are going to work. This is back in Tony Zurvek days, Todd Pappy days. Both of those guys are, Todd Pappy's gone, and possibly Tony Z is gone. Maybe he's still at the company, but sort of unseen. I don't really know. But regardless, we have new key players at the helm now, and Rich Trier and whatnot. So and Benoit and stuff. So we don't totally know if this is the same plan for the land claims, but I think it personally, I think it is. And the reason I think this is still mostly the same plan is because I think they've kind of been building their planetary tech to support land claims from like the beginning. Maybe not the beginning, but I think they've been building their planetary planet tech for a long time to take into account land claims. So let me fast forward a little bit here. Thank you for that follow, JC7. Hopefully I said that right. I'm going to fast forward here. They're talking about the Pioneer. Stand by here. A lot of Pioneer stuff. Let's go to base. Oh, and see, that's the interesting thing. Back then, they talked about using exploration ships, right, to go out, do some of that surveying before you bring the Pioneer in. They actually literally talk about exploration ships in regards to the Pioneer. They say you're not going to want to bring this massive 200 plus meter ship in just to start start searching for an area, right? Things probably going to be just a massive operations. You're going to bring your terrapin, your small ships to do scanning and find those plots of land and then build from there, right? Let me go a little bit further because it was an interesting slide where even back here, they were talking about land, plots of land, and also specifically speculation on that land, right? So, how good the land was going to be, its resources. They refer to this actually collectively in CIG at this time, they refer to this as knowledge, right? That was their key word for that. Knowledge was something I think that was derived from a few things. GearCon, gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Thank you so much for doing that, GearCon. Really appreciate it. You just sent the Kraken overhead. Thank you very much for doing that. I appreciate it. I'm going to give you the double salute for that. Thank you very much, GearCon, for the win. But that research, right? That knowledge was going to be derived through research, through science gameplay, probably a combination of science gameplay and scanning gameplay coming together to form knowledge, right? And thank you, GearCon. Really appreciate that. Cyberwolf, it's probably part of my new streaming schedule. Tuesdays are definitely going to be a day I stream during the middle of the day moving forward. Got a great turnout, by the way. 61. I'm showing 61 on Twitch and 149 on YouTube. So thank you so much, everyone. Really appreciate that support. That's really great. My plan is to stream every day on Tuesday during the day, and then 1 or 2 nights during the week at night, depending. Maybe it's a little bit of gameplay. Maybe it's additional discussion stuff, because I love discussion stuff. So anyways, land claims, again, it was always sort of planned. That's how it was going to work. I think they're planning for that still. Let me move forward a little bit more in this presentation. Again, these are those original buildings. You can see that here. These were those original buildings that the Pioneer was supposed to be able to make. You can see these are the modular cube-like buildings that we see on planetary surfaces now. Those were kind of all it was planned to build. Now, as you've seen in the base building presentations and stuff from CAG, that is no longer the case, right? We're going to be able to build fabrication hangars, construction, like refinery extractors. We're going to be able to build base freight elevators, in-ground hangars, the works, right? So they've really blown it up. Let's see here. Anything else of note here? Nothing maybe to go over there. But let's go back. I did want to look, going back to the Pioneer here. Let's go to this. They got a little bit of a video we can watch that's really cool. We're going to watch this together here where they take us on a virtual inside tour of the Pioneer. I may stop it a few times to, talk about specific things they're showing, okay? This here is the observation bridge that sits above the actual bridge consoles. I think there's going to be a hollow globe or some sort of hollow planning table here. Pause here. You can actually see the place where the hollow globe is going to go. CIG has said these are going to be usable. This is part of the 1.0 plan for you to actually be able to interact with those globes and stuff in a really interesting way. So again, that you can see that here. Again, this is an overlooking bridge that overlooks the rest of the consoles on the bridge, which sit a little bit level below. Okay, I'm going to pause it here again. If there's any CIG people listening, I really hope this message gets through. I love the Polaris. I think it looks amazing. The new internals look awesome. I do like how in the Polaris, the new bridge seats are kind of like high tech and it's like floating glass displays and it does look very new, which the Polaris is supposed to be. However, one of the things I do miss a little bit from the original Polaris concept are the big, kind of bulky consoles on the bridge. We still have them here on the Pioneer. Please, please, please keep the bulkier consoles and bridge consoles. I know it limits visibility a little bit, but it makes the ship feel a lot more substantial and industrial to me. So again, if there's anyone from CIG watching, pass that message along to Ben Curtis and John Crew and the whole team. I would love for it to keep that. So, um, Samuel says, question, hello, Graham. Will Starjump doing an updated module of the Polaris? Yes, when it goes flight ready, we will, for sure. We have a pretty updated one now. The only thing it doesn't have is some of the palm decaling and some of the turret updates, but we will definitely update that. Continuing on. Okay, so there's our remote turrets. So you can see here navigation components. These two big squares here are going to be two big capital level components. I think one of these will be radar and maybe another one something else. So right here, we got our escape pods, and then these blank areas here, if I had to guess, these could be avionics. So this could be things like, it could be stuff like batteries, or it could be life support modules. It could be stuff like that. That's part of engineering, but not actually down there with like the power plant and stuff. Just going to point out, the Pioneer has one of the coolest habitation areas I've ever seen on a ship. I'm really glad they kept this in this new concept, because that was actually part of the original concept. If you go back to some of the Pioneer's original media, and I think I have that. Yes, I do. I have one right here. Let me bring it over. This is the original plan for that habitation area, and you can see how it's kind of like a double deck thing. There's a part that sits above here with the eating area and stuff, and then there's an area below here that has additional space. I always loved that from the original concept, so I'm glad to see they kept it here. I'm really glad to see they kept it. Hey, Haggard, hope you're well. M. Reynolds says, Nomadic says, question, do you see the hologo being the means by which a Pioneer owner creates buildings plans? No, I think that will be done through the actual extra large drone construction console, which they're going to show. I think the hologlobe will be more for scanning. Reynolds says, question, so when the Pioneer's released, what do you think the cost will be? Because it's still 850. Yeah, I think it'll go above 1,000. I do think it'll be above 1,000. Maybe like $1,100, $1,200. So kind of cool. Oops, did I skip? Let's go back a little bit. Sorry, I think I skipped it. So again, the crew pods open up. There's privacy there. I think that this will give people a place to store their personal belongings. So obviously the ship will have storage as well, so you can place general purpose items for everyone. But if you are bringing along a crew and you're going to a far-flung system and you're planning on being out there for a bit, especially when everything's persistent, where when you log out of the game and log back in, you're not just back at your landing zone. When you log back in and you're where you logged out, this will make a lot more sense. And it's going to be nice to have your own little area. You can store your stuff, all that kind of good stuff, right? Hazard says, how do you feel about the orange accenting on the interiors? I wish it continued the red accenting from the exterior. Yeah, I think that's kind of a consolidated outline thing. You see it a little bit, I believe, in the Nomad. We'll see how that looks. I mean, I kind of like it, but I like orange. So, I could see, but it's a subjective thing. I can see how people wouldn't want it to be orange. So this is the crafting area, as he just said. The camera just passed a fourth one. I did see some people saying there was 3, but there's actually 4 crafting stations on board. Okay. Um, oh, thank you, Todd. Appreciate it. Hope you're well, brother. Thinking about you. Azra says, there's another question here from Pappyson says, the big bay doors on the top outside, do those go over the cargo hold like the ironclad? No, they do mention that the cargo hold, though, where all the SCU is, there's a rear freight elevator for those, though. You'll hear that here in the video. You can see right here at the very back, there's something that says cargo lift. So this is essentially going to have a lift from the ground that you can load probably 32 SCU size cargo boxes on, bring them up, move them down the train. It would be really nice if there was some sort of conveyor belt that could send them down, but regardless, you'll bring them up that freight elevator in the back, move them to the front, and just start stacking. So you're going to want to put, 1,000 SCU of boxes in there. I do think CIG will be coming out with 64 SCU boxes. However, in the meantime, if it was 32 SCU boxes, 1,000 SCU is what? That's 3 times, it's like 31 or 32 SCU boxes. Okay. Oh, you can't hear the video? Oh, sorry. Sorry about that, everyone. Thanks for pointing that out, John. Appreciate it. I forgot I had muted desktop audio.
Each of the crew members, they get their own individual crew pod. And one of the nice things about this is these actually open up and they allow kind of each crew member to kind of decide like how much privacy they actually want. This is the crafting area. We've got the 4 kind of crafting machines. And these are right next to the cargo bay, the internal cargo bay. And as John says, this holds up to 1,000 SCU of cargo, so it's pretty sizable. To make it a little bit easier, it's got its own dedicated cargo lift at the back. That again, just simplifies that kind of getting cargo in and out of the vehicle.
Don't worry, I'm not talking. Hopefully it's not too loud. But regardless, it's got that cargo lift, right? So you're going to be able to bring your cargo in really easily. Serena Omega says the calculator birdie tells me that that's 31.25 32 SCU boxes. Okay, that's interesting. I wonder how they'll round that out. I always think it should be divisible by 32. Yeah, that's interesting. It could adjust. He said 1,000 SCU, but we could see that flex a little bit. They may just round up or something like that. Okay, let's continue going.
Down at the front, we have the drone room. Now these will be 4 extra large drones, so they'll be able to craft our largest structures in game. They exit the ship out through the roof, and they're all controlled by the construction console in this area.
So, though you were asking about the hollow globe for base building, the base building is all going to happen from this console. Okay, this console is sort of master control for the 4 extra large drones. Those drones are going to go out and build, right, stuff outside of the ship. Okay, all the stuff built internally in the fabrication hangar, that is done from a different console.
And finally, we're just going to take a quick look at the crafting area on the ship. So you can see here we've got these blast shields down that kind of protect the crew in this area from what's going on inside.
So this is your console for fabricating things inside the ship, okay? And this is the big blast shield for that internal fabrication hangar that we pointed out earlier.
And then as these open up, we just finished making a storm. And as we see, there's a ramp that leads out, so you can drive any ground vehicle straight out the front, between all the landing gear, and you get this really nice kind of like sense of scale as you're driving underneath.
So if you look right there, it's very faint. That is one of the landing gears / ground extractors. So again, this goes out and down, so you're driving underneath the ship as you're exiting. That'll be kind of a really cool feeling coming out the bottom of this massive ship that's overhead.
At the front of the ship. And we've also got the top exit for any flight vehicles. And then finally, we have the landing pad. And this just allows us for any ships that land up on deck, we can just bring them down into the belly of the ship.
Okay, so there you saw it. That is the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. Again, I really like the new concept. I think they did a fantastic job on it. I'm really excited for it. I think that ultimately, let me move this back over, everyone. I think that ultimately, there's times for sure when CIG has done reconcepting on ships where people have been unhappy, right? Whether it's a usage reconcept or perhaps a visual reconcepting. And there was a lot of controversy, obviously, when the Carrack was reconcepted. Some people like the new look, some people don't like the new look, some people like the original concept look. I'm one of those people that falls a little bit in between. I actually like the newer look. It looks a little bit heavier and substantial. I just wish they would have brought. I just wish they would have brought a few more military-minded, aggressive features to the Carrack. Obviously, it'll get its blast shields, but I wish it still had some of its antenna greebling and stuff from the original concept. Abdi Johan, hope you're well. Salute to you. Hope you are well. Again, I may have missed some questions, everyone. Sorry. Pappyson says, thoughts on why they didn't talk about repair mechanic for 1.0? It's just something they didn't talk about. There's actually a lot of things they didn't talk about still, Pappy. We don't know how land claims are going to work. We don't know how, repair is going to work. We do have some good design briefs on repair. I still want a more robust explanation of death of a spaceman and how that's going to work. We got a surface level description of insurance. So there's still a lot of stuff they didn't talk about for 1.0. We still have a long way. And one of the things they mentioned was that there's going to be a lot of ISCs. Probably next year, CitizenCon, they'll be talking about 1.0 again. So I think there's still a lot to cover there. Vasily says, when Pioneer lands and starts extracting, how many resources do we think we'll be sitting on? One, two, or how many? I don't really know. I mean, I think that's one of the key things. We saw a little bit of that in that Planet Tech V5 Genesis presentation, but we need to know more about the resources that plots of land have on them. How do we get that information? I'm assuming it's through scanning, but how do we get that information? How do we package that information? How do we use that information? Can we sell that information? We've always been told we can, right? So we can sell information showing that a plot of land is valuable. When the Pioneer lands, does its scanners allow for the ability to assess the land it's landing on for extracting? We'll have to see. I think there's a lot of unknowns there. All right, next thing. I want to go into, let's close this window. We're going to bring up this window. I know you've all seen it. These are the ships that CIG showed at the end of the panel. I'm going to cover this even though we're talking about the Pioneer today, just again, because it does circle back and kind of relate to the Pioneer at the very end. We're going to go through these. I'm going to tell you what I think they are. And maybe you have different opinions. If you have a different opinion, I'd love to hear about it. Put it down in chat. But I have some idea on what I think some of these things are. And we'll just see over the next 12 months as we learn more about them, which ones are what. You know what I mean? Okay, let's go. So this is very obviously the CSV FM fabrication module variant of the Argo CSV. This is going to be the medium base building ship, okay? The medium base building ship. Dova, I got that from the Captains of Industry video from CIG that's on YouTube. I just took a still of it. Next is this vehicle. I don't totally know what manufacturer this is, but I'm pretty confident this is Tumbrel. I feel pretty confident on that. And the reason I feel confident on that is it has tank treads. You can see the treads wrap down here, and you can see the treads wrap up here. And if you look really careful, and I did some level adjustment, the treads actually continue to wrap all the way under. It's definitely not a tire. It's tank treads. So the only tank treads we've seen in the verse so far are from Tumbrel. So I think it is a new Tumbrel vehicle. Maybe it's a little small Tumbrel APC or something. Based off the look of it, I really like the kind of design of it. So we'll see. Let's see. Hansi, thank you for that subscription. Did I say that right? Hansel? Okay, Hansel, thank you for that subscription. Just sent the Kraken flying overhead. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out with us today. But yes, I think this is a Tumbrel vehicle, okay? Also, Oh, gotta follow it. Attackus. Hopefully I said that right. Thank you very much. Appreciate that follow. It could be a refueler. It absolutely could. I do see a turret up here, though. I'll be honest with you. For me, it's odd for a refueling vehicle to have a big giant turret on it. Why? Because it immediately makes it a target right, for ground attack. I mean, I don't know. If I was driving a refueling vehicle, I personally would want to have big white flags on the side of it with no weapons and say, "Hey, I'm peaceful. I'm peaceful." Um, it seems a little odd to put a turret on a refueling vehicle. So it definitely it could be a refueler though. CIG I don't think is above that, but or below that, however you want to say it. But I think it's some sort of like tumbrel APC. Okay. Next, this is obviously some ballista variant. Okay, some anvil ballista variant. I don't know what this could be. Um, there's parts of it that look like that original base building vehicle shown in last year's CitizenCon, but again, that's been replaced by the CSV, so I don't think that is what this is. I don't really know what this is. It could be something that we just don't really know about yet. Maybe it is mobile planetary shield tech vehicle, or who knows? I really don't know what this one is. This one's kind of a mystery. I kind of thought we were really covered on ballista variants, but obviously not. One thing it could be is maybe just a larger medical variant. Again, that opens up a can of worms. Again, I don't personally think we need that, but I think the Ursa medical sold really well, so it wouldn't surprise me if they do a ballista medical. It would not shock me. It would not shock me at all. Okay, continuing. This is quite obviously the Mark II Hornet Ghost, I believe. So this is kind of one of the worst kept secrets. There are some code strings that leaked out that kind of confirm this, but pretty sure this is the Mark II Ghost, Hornet Ghost. And then after that is the Hornet Mark II Tracker. So it looks like those two variants are coming along. Don't know when they plan on releasing these. I know some people were speculating IAE. I think it could very easily be Invictus next year. Maybe they want some military ships to release for Invictus. That seemed like it would be a good ship to release at Invictus. So personally, I wouldn't get. Yeah, and I saw they were on the tracker, but just because they finished on the tracker too, don't read too much into that. They could drop it IE. I have no forward knowledge on this, but it does seem like a really easy win to release this at Invictus, right? Moving along, this is very obviously the medical terrapin. There's one big clue that this is the medical terrapin, despite the fact that it's a terrapin, and that is because right down here. Oops, sorry. Let me move my slide. Right down here is a medical bed, a gurney, like a stretcher thing. So this is definitely the medical terrapin, the metapin, however you want to say it. Next. This is the Mirai Guardian. Again, pretty clear what this is. This is the Guardian as well, in case you have never seen it before. But yeah, that's the Mirai Guardian. This is the new silhouette. It could have changed from that original concept imagery too, because some people were saying, "Oh, this looks different." It's because that's an old concept image. This could have changed a little bit, but I'm pretty confident this is the Mirai Guardian. I think we're either going to get this at IEE or we're going to get this in a post IAE patch that's related to 4.0. Okay, I think we're going to get it in one of those patches. Ezra says, do you think this could be the Connie Mark II rework? One ship. Let's see. This? No. This is a medical terrapin. Yeah. Next one is Misk, obviously based off the Prospector. This could be the rumored Misk Fortune. The weird thing about that is this definitely looks like a mining head on it. However, that could be deceiving. One thing that we did see about the Misk Fortune is it actually looks like it's a salvage ship. Kind of weird that we would be getting another small salvage ship though when we have the Vulture, and the Vulture is very popular. Maybe they just want another competitor for it. I'm not really sure, but right now obviously it's Misk, possibly the Misk Fortune. We just don't know if it's mining or salvage. I don't know why it would be mining. We already have the Prospector, so again, strange. So we'll have to see. We'll have to see on this one. They do kind of look similar. I don't think they're identical though, Christian. But maybe I'm wrong. Chat can correct me on that if I'm wrong. I haven't been mining in so long. Zarek says, Starjump Grim, that is a salvage head. Mining head don't have full plates. Oh, okay. Well, I stand corrected. That is a salvage head. So this would be a small salvager from Misk then. Yeah. I mean, the Prospector and the Vulture, the Prospector's smaller than the Vulture, and this looks like it's Prospector size, so we'll have to see. But yeah, kind of a strange one. This one's an odd one. I really kind of want to see what this is. And if this is a Misk salvage ship, I'm actually more surprised that it's not a Misk. I'm surprised that they didn't put the Expanse into production, the refining ship. I know they want that to come with gameplay, but I'm sure the gameplay for refinery work is coming. So I'm really shocked that this is not the Misk Expanse. So next, this. I don't know what this is. Does anyone else know what this is? I don't know what it is. Here's what I know it's not. I know some people said this was the Crusader Intrepid. I can confirm to you that it's not the Intrepid. I have seen the Intrepid. I kind of know what it looks like. It's not that. The front end is completely wrong for that. So unless it's at the most bizarre angle ever. It doesn't mean it's not a Crusader ship. It doesn't mean it's not something or something like that. It's just not the Intrepid. Okay. So yeah, it's just not the Intrepid. It's also too big to be in the Intrepid. Here's a person. It's too big for the Intrepid. So yeah, Abdi, I think the Expanse is a really cool Misk ship. It's kind of really ugly, but I kind of love how ugly it is, and I'm looking forward to when it goes into production. But this is one of the big question marks. I don't know what this is. I think it could be Crusader. It could be Crusader. But I don't know what it is. It's just definitely not the Intrepid. It's not the Intrepid because, again, I have seen the Intrepid, and it's not the Intrepid. It's definitely not the E1. Definitely not the E1. Completely different front end. I would love for it to be the E1 Reynolds. I definitely would love that. But we'll see. It could be an Anvil ship. It definitely could be Anvil. Next ship, this is obviously Drake. It's got the Corsair wings. This is the front of the ship, and the more I've looked at it, I believe this is the front of the ship. You can see it's got the same greeble elements that the Corsair has. So I definitely think this is Drake. I also think this is a heavy fighter. I think this is a Drake heavy fighter, if I had to guess. I could be wrong, but I think this is a Drake heavy fighter. One thing I'm going to show you next is some original concept imagery of the Drake Corsair, which is this. And the reason I wanted to show you this is that CIG has really played around with some weird body shapes for different ships. And if you look at this one down here, I know it's a little bit cut off. I know it's got extra wings on it, but it almost looks a little bit like that. And again, I'm not saying that what you saw was a baby Corsair. Maybe it is. But what I do know is that they have played around with weird designs like this for Drake in the past. So either A, this is a Drake heavy fighter, which again, that's what I think it is, or B, it's some sort of baby Corsair ship. Okay. I don't really know what it would be doing. It's an odd one. It's an odd one. But yeah, kind of interesting. I know a lot of people are kind of very curious about this ship. I really love Drake, so I'm curious on what this ends up being. But again, I think it could be related back to what these sort of original concepts were for the Corsair. Okay. Next, this is very clearly the Apollo from RSI. I know the Apollo very well. I've worked with its model quite a bit, and this is definitely the Apollo. A couple things that stick out to me that make it very clear that it's the Apollo is the Apollo has this kind of blocky back end on the top, and it has these dual antennas on the back. Now, remember the thing with the Apollo. It's actually two ships, right? So the Apollo Triage and the Apollo Medevac. Okay, so two ships in one here. So yeah, there we go. That's the Apollo. Next, this is the Misk Starlancer build. I know some people said the TAC It could be the tack. I still think this is the build though. And the reason I think this is the build is that the tack has turrets on the bottom and those guns kind of point down slightly. I don't see any evidence of that even when I did some level adjustments. Doesn't mean it's not the tack, but if I had to guess, I think this is the Starlancer build. Okay. Plus, they show these big boxes of cargo and stuff. I don't know. It just feels like that's what it is. Okay. Next, this is obviously the RSI Perseus. Okay. I actually think the Perseus is in development now. I think they're actually working on this, if I had to guess. I think at IAE, one of the things I'm going to do, along with my good buddy VMXEO, who's probably in chat, VM here and there, say hello, is that when IAE rolls around, they very well could have an updated holo model for this ship. It's kind of time for an updated holo model. If they have an updated holo model for the Perseus, one of the things we're going to do is me and VMXEO will pull it. We're probably going to measure it. I'm very curious to see if the Perseus has grown a little bit. It does look like the Perseus has a few angle changes, possibly to make it slightly more aggressive looking. This front end nose here does look like it got a little sharper than what it originally was. So there's a few little areas that look slightly different. But again, very excited for this ship, and excited to see what they do with the exterior. Again, they did so amazing on the Polaris, and they said that this ship was going to borrow heavily from the Polaris. That's actually why it's the next RSI ship going into development. So if you've looked at the Polaris, you don't own it, and you're just like, damn, the Polaris looks awesome, then get excited because it looks like the Perseus is going to look equally awesome, right? Okay. Next ship. I do think we're going to learn more about the Perseus at IAE. I can't be sure of that, but I feel pretty confident we're going to find more about the Perseus at IAE. So if you do own one, I do think we're going to find out more about it. I personally do still think it's an slightly overpriced ship. I also think the same about the Hammerhead, and I think the Hammerhead and the Perseus are kind of in the same tier. They do different things. I think the Hammerhead is anti-fighter, and I think the Perseus is anti-large ship, anti-large, anti-medium ship. But I think that both of those ships are like $50 too high on their price. The Nautilus too. Peppo says, yeah, and I'm a big fan of the Nautilus. The Nautilus fits in this category too, Hammerhead, Perseus, Nautilus. The Nautilus is also overpriced, and actually more overpriced, in my opinion, than these two ships. Okay, and I say that as a big Nautilus fan. And by the way, when I criticize price, I'm not criticizing the ship. I'm not saying that, oh, it's not worth that. I'm just saying that I think price adjustment wise, I think it should come down. But this is a military ship. It's also got heavy armor. I think it's supposed to be a little bit on the slower side, but it's got heavy armor. This ship is supposed to go into a battle zone and duke it out. Okay, so if you're doing a Xeno threat battle or something, you put a couple people in this ship, this is the ship you want to get out there and just duke it out during Xeno threat with. Next ship, very excited for this one. This one is the Drake Ironclad. Very clear. We see the Drake Ironclad bridge, cargo bridge up here. We see the side category or side command module over here. Hey, thank you for that follow, Gotchi. Hopefully I said that right. Thank you for that follow. Sending the javelin overhead. Definitely the Ironclad. You can see the big size 3 or whatever size they are. Tractor beams, all that good stuff. Very, very excited for the Ironclad. I do own the Ironclad. I'm a big Drake fan. This ship speaks to me. What did Ben Curtis say about it in the reveal? He said it really goes hard in on that brutalist. And just so you know, brutalist is a sort of a design language, a design aesthetic in architecture and in other places. It's used a lot for like military stuff. It's got a very tough look. They leaned into that for this. So yeah. Anyways, very excited for the Ironclad. Again, this is another one where let's see here. Stand by here. Bear with me, everyone. Bear with me. Okay, we have. Let's see. Ender, we have an emergency block situation on Discord in the general channel. I just did it, but you might want to look into that Ender when you get a chance. Thank you, Starlet, for that. Appreciate it. For that message, I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate that. People doing stupid things. Thank you, Starlet. Good looking out. Good looking out. Okay, so going back this ironclad again. Another important thing to remember. The ironclad comes in two variants, at least that we know of now. Are we getting both variants in development this year? I don't know. I think so, but we're going to get the there's going to be the ironclad base variant and then the ironclad assault, which is kind of the weird combat variant that I don't totally understand, but it is what it is. Actually, I do understand it. It will be good for like big raids on bases or distribution centers, but I'm still trying to figure out what the game plan is for that when it comes online. So anyway, let's see here. Stand by, everyone. Just doing a little house cleaning for people being stupid. It happens. It happens. Bear with me. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Okay. The next and last ship is the Consolidated Outland Pioneer. Obviously, we talked at length on this stream today about the Pioneer. And just to confirm everything we said, it's going into development, right? John Cruz said this week or next. So very cool to see that. It is a monster ship. I think we're going to see a big focus on base building ships. That also leads me to believe, as someone has said in our chat before, that possibly the that need to it's possible that other ships that we've seen could be getting base building variants. Maybe that's why they're going into production. For example, maybe that's why the Ironclad is going into production. Maybe there is going to be a base building variant of that. We don't know. I personally don't think so. Okay, that's my thinking. I think CIG is actually going to focus on just the 4 platforms for base building for the time being. Those are going to be the CSV FM, or sorry, the hover trolley for small, the CSV FM for medium, the Starlancer build for large, and the Pioneer for extra large. I think CIG is going to just kind of hold on those 4 and work on those 4 and get those 4 right before doing a bunch of other base building ships. I'm sure you all saw the recent controversy about the Galaxy. The Galaxy will obviously get its base building modules. John Crew confirmed that. I think that was great for John Crew to so quickly make that change before it went out to the wider world and people started melting their ships. But anyways, I think it's great that they fixed that issue. But I think we're going to see them focus on these 4 primary base building platform ships. Okay. So that is the ships that are in production this year. A lot of good stuff. A lot of really interesting choices. A lot of surprises in there. Again, Ironclad, big surprise there. Perseus, not really a surprise, but surprised that it jumped up in the sort of jumped up in line in front of the Galaxy. I think the Perseus again is in development now. I think it's actually in development now. Starlancer build, again, we know about this. I think we're going to hear more about this at IAE. Apollo, I don't think you Apollo owners are going to have to wait long for the Apollo. I think this is another ship we're going to hear a little bit more at on RSI Day. I think we may hear, or whatever, because John Crew usually does a ship show during IAE. I think we're going to hear a little bit more about the RSI line of ships. Okay, I think they're going to talk about the Perseus. They're going to talk about the Apollo. Again, the Drake Heavy Fighter, this mystery ship, find out about the mystery. There's lots of good stuff coming, okay? That being said, a lot of stuff covered today. I hope you all enjoyed it. Like I said, I kind of want to do some of these live Shipyard episodes because they're almost easier to manage and to deal with than doing like the pre-recorded ones. Doesn't mean that I won't do the pre-recorded ones. I still want to do those, but they do kind of take extra effort and all that. So that's just something to keep in mind that those will still come, but it may be for ships that are really far out, right? So like, what's a good one? Maybe like I already did the Endeavor and Crucible, but like the Genesis Starliner is another one that I want to do at some point. Um, just ships that have longer runways. That way, when I do all the work for a pre-recorded episode, it's not wasted, right? So I've had some people ask, for example, would I do a shipyard on a Polaris? It feels a little weird to do it because it's the ship will be flight ready at IE. It'll be in your hands. You'll be able to get to mess with it, all that kind of stuff. So, Peppy says, what level is medical mechanic tier 0? I think the medical mechanic tier 0 is what we have in game now. I think that's currently what we have. I think the next phase to the medical stuff is going to be like cybernetics and maybe more on the actor status tier 2, which we know is in development or has been developed. That will include like hygiene and other things. And then personally, I think after tier 3, we get to or tier 2, we get to like tier 3. And I think tier 3 is going to be like interactive surgery and stuff like that. I know I may be on the hopium with that, but CIG has mentioned that they want to do the interactive medical stuff before. We'll see if they do that. I'm not saying they will. We'll see if they do that. I really don't. I don't know. It's kind of a, we'll see. um, that being said, last thing I want to talk about. Obviously, I am planning a lot of really cool IAE coverage. I'll be here for IAE this year, so I'll be able to fully cover it, which will be great. I'm sure other Starjump members will be covering it with me. I do want to do some giveaways. I'm looking at what's possible. I am creating a new Starjump poster that is pretty badass. I do owe a few people some challenge coins. I know those are delayed. You are still owed, and I will probably throw in a free Starjump poster because of the delay, but those are coming. But there is a new Starjump poster that's really cool that I'll probably do some giveaways on, and I'll probably do some ship giveaways. I got to see what my wallet can handle because I have to pay for those my own money. Those aren't given to me by CAG or anything, but maybe I'll try to get a starter pack to give away or something. I don't know. We'll see. Either way. That's going to be mostly it for today. Jock Cup says, question, do you think the Crucible rework will be as drastic as the Pioneers? Absolutely. The Stellar Scale, hope you're well. Salute to you. Yes, the Crucible needs a pretty drastic rework, so I think it's going to be a complete overhaul like the Pioneer. Actually, I think it'll get better, though. I do think it'll get better. The Pioneer did have some weird stuff going on with it, but I do think it will get better, Jock Cop. So if you're a Crucible owner, I wouldn't get too concerned. I wouldn't get too concerned. Okay. That being said, I hope everyone has a great rest of your day. We're going to send it over to, bear with me real quick. We're going to send it over to someone who's got quite a few people, but they have rated me in the past. So we're going to do them. We're going to give them a little love. A lot of times I like to rate smaller people, but we have big friends out there that are big content creators as well. So we're going to show them some of the love back too. We're going to send you over to Bog Nagas. So make sure you give Bog a little bit of Starjump love when you go over there. Say hello to him, all that good stuff. For everyone, thank you for hanging out with me today. It's been a fantastic stream today. You came in and hung out. I really appreciate that. Have a great day. Enjoy Bog Nagas.